Good morning. It is Wednesday, and we are here for Coffee with Kathy. I hope that you've got your coffee already. And Allison, good morning from Southwest Florida. Pam is joining us from Maine. Good morning, Pam. Carla, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Welcome, Carla. Good to see you. And Kathy is here from Long Island. And my friend Linda has made it in from New York. So good to see you. So this morning we have all kinds of fun. What we have is we have the mini fills. Mini fills is a set of 5 templates. I always want to say 4. I don't know why, but it is 5. And it is 5 different um, patterns that we're going to be looking at. Lot of markings on these, and we'll go through each marking as we look through each different pattern. And you'll see 4 sizes. I call them small, medium, large, and granddaddy size. Okay, this is kind of a cool one. It's like triangles, and this is reminds me of a mushroom, okay? It's basically an elongated, curve at the top, and some of us might call this an elongated clamshell, which would be appropriate. This one is kind of cool. It's not a brick, but it's similar to a brick in the way that it stacks, and then the sides come at a little bit of an angle instead of straight down. But this one is a brick, and we have rectangular bricks, and we have a square brick, and we have a little brick, and we have all kinds of bricks here to make it fun. And here is our clamshell shape, which is really my favorite. And I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but sadly, it is the way of the world. I do. Good morning, my friend Ronnie. 39 degrees in northeastern Arizona. Yes, your weather is cooling off just like ours is. There was frost on the pumpkins this morning for sure here in the Upper Peninsula. And Debbie, Cactus Deb, good morning. How's the little one doing after her shots? I hope well. And Kathy, good morning from Texas. Always good to see you. Monica from Durand, Illinois. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, let's see what we've got here. I am going to save this one for last. As I said, it's my favorite. And what I've done here is I've just gone ahead and put a crosshair marker my um, on my sample piece. And what I'm going to do is I am going to put the practice sandwich in the orientation where I've got a horizontal line on the bottom and a vertical line on the bottom on the left-hand side. Okay. Let's talk about some of the idiosyncrasies of this particular template. What you're going to notice is this horizontal line. This horizontal line is the bottom of our needle. This is where our needle is going to stop. This is the top of the needle in this orientation. Okay, these two vertical lines along the bottom are what we're going to use when we start staggering the blocks, okay, or the bricks, whichever you would want to call it. This is called a mini brick. And again, this has the same bottom orientation, but it does not have the top orientation. And this is the Sager line for this size of brick. And here we go, bottom, top, stagger line here as well. And bottom, I don't think that's the top, but yeah, it could be the top, definitely. And then, of course, stagger lines. Let's start with the big guys because they are the easiest to see how we work on this. Okay. If we hold this opening and this line on our, I want to make sure that you're seeing this. Oh, that's not a good either. Okay. Okay. Pay Wackett had her shots last night and she's doing well. Good deal. Emily, good morning from Indiana. So good to see you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to just go ahead and put this little guy in the center. I'm going to pull it in. There we go. And focus. And put down and needle down and pull that bobbin thread up. There we go. Definitely I'm using up bobbins here. This is a great place to use up half-used bobbins. All right, and down we're gonna go. Now, I'm gonna turn this around. The reason I turn this around is simply to make sure that it's easier for you to see. And I haven't got it right on that line, but that is exactly where I want it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to line up the bottom of the template with my foot in it on the line of on our seam line. Let's call it our seam line, even though it's just a pretend seam line. We'll call it our seam line. I'm going to come up, around, and down. Okay. It's not many stitches. So you're gonna definitely want to keep that in mind. And don't let it fool you. Okay, so easy peasy. All we need to do is pull our template to my case, the left. And what you're going to see is this line falls under the stitching falls under this line, etched line. And we're going to come back up and this is going to be traveling. And now we're going to come off to the left again. And this is going to be such beautiful shaped bricks. And again, just turn that, just slide that template. Let's make sure we're staying nice and even. It's a little more difficult for me to see because I'm so far away from my sewing machine, so that the etched lines and the line of stitching does tend to be skewed just a little bit. No worries though, we'll figure it out. And here we go. And over and across. You'll see how nice and sharp those edges are. Up, back down. There we go. And if we have to do some smushing, we'll do some smushing. It's not the end of the world. There we go. This is a very, very easy template. We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to show you how you're going to stagger these blocks, bricks, because that's what we see if you look at a building with a brick facade. The bricks are going to be staggered. If you line them all up in a row, they're going to fall off. You don't want that happening. Okay, so we are going to come down. I'm going to come back up and stop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my template up. If we pull it straight up, what's going to happen is we are going to end up, as I said, in a straight line, which is where we don't want to end up, okay? But what we will do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch up and stop with my needle down. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide my template over until my needle is lined up with the center edged line, and the other edged line is going to be right directly over this line of stitching. Okay, so here we go. This is a half a brick, and we're gonna go and down. We're gonna and we're gonna come back up, and now we're just going to move our template to the right. Remember, we've been moving it to the left, so now we're just going to move it to the right to go back in the other direction and get that thread out of there. We are going to continue stitching exactly the same way we have been stitching. And we may have to do a little bit of adjusting because remember, as we stitch rotations in, what's going to happen is our fabric is going to draw up. So we may need to make some adjustments. Not to worry, we can do that and it'll be gorgeous. Here we go. We're going to go across, meet the previous row, and back up. Needle down, across, line everything up. And we're going to come down and meet the previous row and stitch up to the top. And of course, move on down. And you can see just how easy this is. Down, back up, and move it across. Now what's going to happen is you're going to end up with um, this placement line on the center of the block, and yet we're going to be a half of a brick short. So I'm going to come down, back up, kneel down, and move over to the center, okay? And there we go. I'm going to stop at my center point with my needle down. Doesn't that look beautiful, guys? It really does. Patricia, good morning from Alberta. And my friend Chris from up the street is here. Good morning. Debbie, good morning from Bloomington, Illinois. And Di is here with us from Southern California. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do one more quick line. Well, actually, I'm not because we have so many different templates this morning. I'm going to move up. We're just going to come up and we're going to do a different size. Okay. Now, to do this, I am going to draw a line in. Whether it's necessary or not, probably not, but for me, it just makes sense because we do want to keep this nice and straight. Okay, so again, I'm doing this upside down, guys. So you can do it right side up. It's a whole lot easier doing it that way. Actually, I wonder if we shouldn't try to do this one right side up. I'll put it on an angle here and see what happens. All right, this one is going to be more squared off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come up my center, or I would call it my pretend seam line. Make sure my needle is down, come over to the right, and come down until I hit my line and my needle stops. My foot stops and come right back up to the top. Make sure you've got that needle up, needle down function going, because that is the thing that is going to help you make sure that you get these bricks nice and even and straight. This is not a difficult one, okay? I personally think that this one is the easiest of all of them. And if you look, you're going to have this etched line, which is going to fall right on top of the last rotation that you stitched. And over we go. We're going to come down to the seam line, even if it's just a pretend one. Back up, needle down. We're going to go ahead and we're going to push our template to the side. And down we're going to go and back up with our needle down. Now this one you'll see is much smaller. However, the premise is going to be the same. And when I say the premise is the same, what I mean is we are going to stagger the blocks or the bricks. We're not going to go ahead and just load them one on top of another, because if we load them into columns, they're going to fall. That's just the way it happens. There we go. We're going to go more. Down we go. Up to the top. Over to the side. If you say this too many times, you might put yourself to sleep. So be careful. Okay, there we go. I'm going to come back up. Now I'm going to turn us around here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place myself halfway. I'm going to lift myself up before I place myself halfway. And by doing this, I'm going to make sure to keep this nice and straight. because I have this horizontal line to run through as well. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and go up. Now I'm going to just pull that template over and make a half of a brick on here and back up to the top. Needle down. Now I'm going to put my whole template over to the right. Remember, I'm upside down. Down to the bottom, back up to the top, and move that template. Now, if you find that you're getting off, which I am a little bit, and you'll see I'm a little bit to the right, it's no big deal. Just go ahead and move yourself back so that your etched lines are over your previous lines of stitching. And then you should be coming down at the halfway mark. We're going to do that again, making sure that we're all lined up. If you get on and if you get your template cattywampus, what's going to happen is your bricks won't be the proper size. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's do a couple more. Now, this set is best done when you have the ability to concentrate on what you're doing and not be distracted by too many things. I have found if I do this set while I'm distracted, and y'all know how I am, I squirrel like crazy, right? But if I do it while I'm overly distracted, I will tend to fall off of the template, which I don't like doing. We want to keep these corners really nice and straight, and we want to keep everything beautifully lined up, and it's really not hard to do. As long as we take our time, think about what we're doing, and do it with purpose in mind. Okay, now we're going to come out here, and there we go. There is our nice little boxed bricks. Okay, here we go. And we're just going to cut that thread off. Don't they turn out beautiful? I'm actually loving these. I think that they just give us so many dimensions that we're able to work with. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the other sizes. That's going to be this one. And I don't have time to stitch them all out a whole lot. So I'm just going to kind of show you the different sizes, the last two sizes here. And then we'll move on to another shape. And remember that that's what these are. These guys are shapes. And there's a whole lot of things we can do with different shapes. Now, if you wanted to, you could put this on point also, and it would definitely be something very special. Okay, this is our biggest one. I'm going to show you how to start with a half of a brick, and I'm going to line myself up. And in order to do that so that I'm a half a brick short of a load, okay, I knew that this morning was not gonna go by without that. silly saying. I'm going to line up the halfway mark here. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and put our foot down. Going to line it up. There we go. Perfect. My foot back down and get that needle back down. There we go. So, did I say this? Yes, this is the big one. Don't be afraid to use a little shorter stitch with this template. No, the square one probably not as important, but it definitely will help to keep it in scale. And scale is really something we don't talk about very often, but probably should mention more often than not. If we have a small template with a small design, keeping our stitches a little shorter will help to keep everything in scale. If we have larger templates, we can go a little longer with our stitches and it's going to be okay. But if we were to only do 2 or 3 stitches on these bricks, it might look a little awkward. There we go. And now we're going to go to the line and back up. Okay. So you'll see the difference in this particular block. Beautiful sized block if you're going to do a larger area, definitely. And then this will be our last size. Now the question is, can we do larger size and smaller size blocks together? Well, the answer is yes, we can. Okay. And whoops, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how on this particular one. I'm going to come over halfway. Now, this is not going to line up. This reference line is because I'm mixing up sizes. And I'm not really even sure how many that this is going to how many small ones to each a large one this will stitch up for us. And this is a little brick for those awesome landscape quilts that everybody does. These are really very nice templates. And pull down. Oops. There we go. So what's going on here is we are getting um, not quite one and a half, not quite two, which would be steak, but that's okay. And of course, what's going to happen here, which is probably more important than anything else that I'm showing with this size, is how to go ahead and work up a center one when it doesn't fall in the center. Okay. And you'll see it doesn't. It's just, wow. Actually, guys, it's perfect. I did not plan that. Okay, there you go. If it were a if it were a partial size, I would finish it like this. So these are the 4 sizes of these awesome brick templates. And there you go. Definitely want you to see them. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, thank you, Linda, for coming in, and we'll catch you later, okay? Good luck getting through the raindrops. Oh, goodness. Today we have sunshine for a change. Okay, so there is our bricks. What do you think? I think they are really, really pretty. Okay, next one I want to do, I'm going to do this one. This is called the zigzag. I'm going to tell you straight out, not my favorite. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come this way on this particular one, and we're going to go ahead and go across. Oops, I need to come down. There we go. Here are my lines that I am following. I'm coming through this line. Whoa, I want to make sure you can see it. There we go. Through this line and through this line on my seam allowance. And my foot is going to, or my needle is going to fall right here. My foot's going to come up and back down. So let's go ahead and check this out. And we're getting you guys right on the very edge here. There we go. Pull you in and focus you up. Alrighty, there we are. And I'm going to pull my thread up, pull that bobbin thread up, put my foot down and my needle back down. There we go. And again, I'm going to start with the biggest size. One stitch in place. And again, I'm keeping my stitches a little shorter. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep things in scale for me. There we go. Sitting this far back, again, I'm just kind of trying to make sure I'm on the right line, but it's not going to always be that way. And now what you're going to see is why they call it a zigzag after we get this first row in. We don't have to go back and forth like we did on our bricks. Well, if you have a small sashing, this would make a great sashing design for you. Okay, get that out of the way here. And that's going to be where we're going to stop, right here. Okay, here we go, the zigzag design. Now it's obvious why we're calling it that, right? It really is kind of a cool design. Now we come up to our second row. I'm going to turn it this way. Make sure that you can see it well. Again, what we want to do is we want to stagger this. So what we want is we want ourselves to come up to our highest point and end up, we want to come straight up to our highest point, like this is the seam allowance, and end up here. We have a couple ways we can do that. I should have done this before. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to draw my seam allowance in, okay? And I'm going to just stitch up in my seam allowance. We're gonna come all the way up to the top. We're close to it because then what we're gonna do is we are going to put our template in. And as you can see, I need to come up a little bit more. And now I want my spacing gauge. And I'm going to check here. That part looks good. And I'll be dipped. That part looks really good also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down and stop right at there. There we go. Back up. How come I'm making diamonds, guys? I know why, because I am not supposed to stagger these. So we'll go ahead and stagger one and make diamonds. And then we'll come back and we won't stagger them. Oh my goodness, I looked at this and I went, I know I did something wrong. I kind of like this though. Again, this is a nice looking border or sashing design. And down we're going to come, and then we're going to go up half of a rotation. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to come up and we're going to, I'm going to come up so that this second horizontal line runs across the middle portion of that design. We're going to come up straight in our seam allowance until we hit our needle point. And you know what? I've got one half of a stitch. There we go. Had to put one half of a stitch in there, guys. And now up we're gonna come. I'm seeing a lot of really awesome opportunities here. The one thing I'm seeing is the bottom of Charlie Brown's shirt. Sometimes you can tell our ages by the designs that we see. There we go. Don't forget that hesitation stitch on top. You don't have to worry too much about the hesitation stitch on the bottom because you're stopping with your needle down and you're moving your template. So you know you're getting that stitch in place in the correct way. There we go. Just want to make sure that I close that up. No, we're going to stop right there. And here is our zigzag. We're going to do a smaller one next. And I'm going to check for any comments. Okay, Di asks, could I get small diamonds if I turned the template and stitched on the other side of my line? Um, that's a good question, Di, and that would have to be something I would play with. However, with this template, you'll see that you have 4 different sizes. So let me show you the small diamonds, okay? And we're gonna come up like this, and we're gonna make a seam allowance. These are pretend seam allowances. I love making pretend seam allowances. Here is our smallest zigzag. Diamonds. Okay, could I make small diamonds? Um, yes. Yes, I can make small diamonds by stitching this way and then turning the template and stitching this way. Yes, I know now what you're talking about. Yep, definitely can do that. Okay, let's go that. And I will go ahead and do that for you. I think that's a great question, Di. It really is. Okay, so what we would do in order to accomplish that, we're going to make one zigzag going below our seam allowance. Pretend that seam allowance. Whoops, got a little carried away there. Okay, and these little guys are so little. Again, remembering to keep your stitches in scale. And maybe I've got my stitches just a little too short. But it's a symphony and you have to practice before you make beautiful music. Everything we do, we need to practice with. And anything we want to do well is worth practicing, isn't it? Yeah. Mm. Took off in the wrong direction there. A bit further. Oh, now what I'm going to do, I want to go back the other way. And because I want to make a diamond out of this, I am just going to flip my template up and head back the other way. There we go. This is going to make itsy bitsy tiny diamonds for dye. Okay. A little smooshing because remember, as we stitch, Our fabric is being pulled in ever so slightly, but it is being pulled in. A couple more to do here. Now, the smaller the diamonds, the more the fabric is going to be pulled in because it's more stitches. So we will need to make some adjustments. That's not the end of the world. I know you guys can do it. One more. And here's our small diamonds. Okay. Here you go. Small diamonds. I think that is what you were asking for. Okay. Now we would go ahead and take this line out. So that is the diamond one. Let's do mushrooms next. Okay. Um, okay, so we've only got two done. Oh, we gotta move along here. Okay. I call this one a mushroom. It's really not a mushroom. It's called a mini clamshell, but it's an ovaloid clamshell. Okay. So we're going to go in this direction. We're going to go ahead. The nice thing is when we want to put our needle right here, we have this area that we are going to line up and this line that we are going to line up. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to down needle up, pull that bobbin thread. This is a great way to practice them just by, cutting a fabric into four quadrants and working it in that direction. That works really well. Okay, here we go. Isn't this is going to be a cool clamshell. It really is. Spread out of the way. And what's going to happen here is that you are going to have this edged line to line things up. Hi, Jane. Hi, Pam. Or Patsy it is. I'm sorry. Good to see you, Patsy. Oh, Deanna, good morning. Oh, Deanna says she just used these a few days ago. Okay, Debbie says the zigzags are her favorites. And she said she's used these a lot and she really enjoys them. And they really are fun. And they are fun and functional. Okay, so up and around we're gonna go. And over this way. Let's make sure that we're keeping everything lined up. Now, one thing I haven't tried that is to mix up the sizes of these clamshells. Okay, so maybe we'll try that. Let's see. Round we go. Don't move your template until your needle is safely in the fabric. If you move it too soon, what could happen is you will be moving the needle into an area that you really don't want. Go. A few more of these. Pretty size. Don't forget to line up these edged lines on either side. One more. Let me go. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 12-inch arc. There's a really, I find a very easy way to help line up. And by that, I mean I'm going to line up this horizontal or vertical line, depending on which area I'm or which orientation I am stitching from. And now what we want is we want a half of a clamshell to come down to here. So let's see if we need to. Yeah, it looks like I think that's the one that I just used. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was this one. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to line up this reference line on the very top of my last row. And I want to make sure that my needle is halfway through the design. And there we go, just a couple stitches to get it there. And here we go for line number 2. Oh, and I didn't come down quite far enough. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just slide it over. And around we go, keeping those stitches a little short. It's going to accomplish 2 things. It's going to give us a nice round top to these clamshells. Well, take your time. Don't worry about rushing the process. Now, one of the ways that we know we've got ourselves lined up is by using this etched line. These etched lines help us immensely. And you will see that this is more of an oval clamshell than just the plain round or half circle clamshell. There we go. I'm falling off to my side just a little bit. I want to go ahead and move myself back. No worries. No. Just a couple more, and we are done with this row. And one, one and a half to do. I love that it's so easy to make a half of a design and to make it finish out beautiful. Okay. Doesn't this look like a roof tiles? I'm thinking it looks just like roof tiles. Oh my gosh. Put a little dot in here and you've got a candy cane or gingerbread roof tiles. Okay. I know I can say these words. So here is our elongated um, clamshell. We also have a regular size clamshell. And I am going to go ahead and draw a straight line to show you that shape. We're going to use the larger one on this one because it is cool. Okay, here again. 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes or 4 different sizes. So I'm going to start at this side and I'm going to move to the left this time first. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Okay. That thread up, that bobbin thread. And there we go. Okay. So this is going to be our squatty one. It's going to be squatty, but it's going to be long. Alrighty, here we go. This is what I mean by squatty. It's definitely not a half of a circle like we are accustomed to. Okay, go. Round, go. And again, it has the edge line that will fall right over the last rotation that you make. And this will be the last one. Next, we're going to come straight up. It's not going to need to be very far because this is really a very squatty clamshell. As you can see, actually, it's kind of a pretty scallop border where you can put this on both sides of the border and then a design in the center of it. That would look cool, I think. Okay, this one. So now what I'm doing is I'm coming into the center and I want to make sure, let's do it this way. I want to make sure that I have this area lined up right here. Okay. So I need to come up a little further. I think this is gonna be too far, guys. Okay, let's use the spacing gauge again. Spacing gauge can help a whole. Okay, yep, that's correct. Yeah, yeah. This is kind of a difficult one because of the fact that it is so shallow. It's deceptive. 1/2 of one more. There you go. So, so this one is very shallow, very easy, however, and it looks nice. It really does. So these are just a few of the different clamshell designs that we have in here. And then we have one more that we're going to look at this morning. And this one is called a mini tile. And we're going to use the second to largest mini tile. Okay. What I want to do with the mini tile is I want to come in with a half a tile to begin with. Okay, so this is just going to look a little different. We're starting with half a tile instead of ending with half a tile. It doesn't matter. That's the one thing I want to show you here. It doesn't matter whether you start with it or you end with it. There we go. Okay, off to the right, down to the line. And slide that template over. And down the, and let's go ahead and get this thread out of here. Turn this around so it's easier to see. And you'll see that what happens here, just like the other ones, is you have your stitch line going under the edged line. And down we go. I do believe the tiles are probably the easiest to do, but then I like angular lines. So I think it's a matter of personal preference. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stitch up, and we're going to start this one with a half a line or a half a tile. I'm sorry. And that's gone way too high. Can you see that? There we go. Oh, wait, am I using, aha, I think I'm using the wrong sides. This one. There we go. So, to figure that out, it's really quite easy. Just go ahead and put that template in there. Make sure that this bottom line touches the top of the previous rotation, and we're all ready to go. That's it. There we go. And trust the template on this. I found when I was first practicing with these guys, I thought to myself, oh no, that can't be right. But every time I didn't trust the template, I ended up in a space that I did not want to be in. So when I did trust the template, I ended up exactly where I should have been. So for me, the really big takeaway was trust the template. Okay. And I know I've said that several times before, but it's so true. There we go. And then come up to do our third exactly the same. Isn't that pretty? You know, I wish I could show you all of the sizes of each of the templates, but there's so many. It's almost close to impossible. But we did get a good sampling of them this morning. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give you the link to them. And Di has a really great idea. Just put a ruler sticker, whoops, put a ruler sticker on the size you're using. The that's a good one, Di, and very easy to do. Don't forget that today you're going from Monday to Monday, you're going to get a 20% off of this template when you use the coupon code DealDate20. I want to thank you again for giving me a portion of your day. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's always so important to us. And I will not be here until next week. So until Tuesday, when I see you again, let's quilt.